Thank you.
It's a very nice carpet.
Thank you for the reminder, Yorkshire of pure evil. It's because I've silenced it because I was talking to Tom. I will be eating because I picked the boy up at 8, so.
Just want to update you, right? So I'm just gonna switch that around.
I like the carpet.
Not that made it.
Brightens it up as well.
What does?
The carpet brightens it up.
Do you know what? It actually makes the room feel like a bedroom now.
Yeah, instead of a ginger.
And since I put the carpet down. And still the cupboard under the stairs here. Correction, it's the cellar under the stairs.
Cellar under the stairs, yeah.
Cellar under the stairs. But since I put the carpet down, do you know what? The room looks so much nicer just to be in.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that bad anymore. And I've also tidied up a lot.
That's good.
Because obviously I put the carpet down.
Yeah.
You're doing a lot of moving things around. So I have like 2, maybe 3 black bags worth of clothes to get rid of. So that means I've chucked out the equivalent to almost 10 black bags of clothes in the past year.
See, I've thrown out a lot of my clothes, but then I have no money to buy some new clothes.
Chuck out clothes because I haven't got the space.
Yeah. Well,
and I realised that I've also lost a lot of weight. So a lot of things don't fit me like it used to. Like, my weight has fluctuated loads in the past few years. So there are clothes that still don't fit, but I'm so determined to fit into them, and it's really bad that I keep them, but it's only like 2 items. So I'm like, I will, because it was like I fit into them at one point, and I fit into them in this past year, but because of the stress that I've been going through, I've put on weight.
Yeah.
So once I start getting back into the healthier habit of eating better foods, instead of just junk food and snacking instead of meals, I'll go back to the size I was and fit into all my summer dresses again. So, but a lot of the clothes that I wore baggy are now too big, too big. So I've just chucked out loads.
I was gonna say, since lockdown, I've put on a lot of weight, but my weight's now stayed the same. It's not really changed much. I don't know.
Yeah. At that point, you may as well figure out what fits you now. So get rid of anything that doesn't fit or is ill-fitting or something you don't feel confident in.
That's what I've already done. That's what I've already done, mate. Don't worry.
Because that's what I've done over the past year. I got rid of 8 things that were no longer my style or I no longer felt confident in. So I've just lost it.
Yeah.
Things I no longer love. Was it Marie Kondo? I was like, if it no longer sparks joy, get rid of it.
Yes.
It's like there's some things that were really sentimental to me that I can't get rid of.
Yeah.
But I still wear those on the daily to the point it's like I may not wear them outside, but I wear them around the house.
Yeah.
It's stuff like my dad's old shirts.
I'll tell you what I am.
To put it, my dad is not dead. I just love my dad.
I was just thinking that it was like,
he's not dead. He's still alive. He is still alive. It's just his old shirts that I've had since I was like 15, 16.
What was I going to say? Oh yeah, recently I've actually been looking at Shein.
Oh yeah.
Because now they've got a plus size.
Yeah.
Although it's still like XXL to even fit me. But yeah. So
Mate, I'm buying large and XLs just to fit me, and I am only a size 10 or 12. So,
depending
on the
store,
confidence really takes it down.
Yeah, but it's just a number. That's that's my thing. I mean, if I go to H&M,
it's just a number.
If I go to H&M, size 14, boom, banging. Go to Primark, size 22.
Yeah. The thing is, like, with these numbers, it really does just affect it because of the standards of like the society put out, like with women's clothing.
Oh, gotcha.
It's not small, medium, or large anymore.
No.
It's you 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, up to like, oh, but we don't go past 22 normally, so anything above that you need to go to the plus size store, and yet they're so fucking hideous. Like the clothes selection there is just hideous. I remember going in there because at one point I was slightly bigger. I wasn't as big as like a 22, but I was fitting into like 18s, like 14 through to 18s depending on where I was going. So I was like, Joe, I'll go into the plus size store, like into like the shop and see if they've got any nice things. I tell you what, I've never seen such hideous like selection of clothes, and I felt so awful in myself that I started to eat more.
Yep.
It's shit.
I'll tell you one thing now, obviously because I'm big-chested anyways, I had that problem from puberty, like from the get-go.
Yeah.
It was granny. I'm literally granny bras, and I did not feel sexy. I didn't.
You don't though, do you? When
you
it's
don't.
just you've got beige, white, black, or red, and you go.
Honestly, it's only been recently where I've found stores online that have actually fitted. And I mean, like, the models on there.
Because I know that they have quite bigger. They're not big enough.
We've been through this. They go up to F.
Is that all?
Yes. They go up to F. I get bras from Amazon, Curvy K, and Bra Stop. Honestly, so much better. Boohoo, also good for plus size. Shein looks like it's been good. Where else? No, in fact, I think
the only thing with things like bras is you do have to buy a really good quality one if you want it to last.
Curvy K is high quality, and sometimes if it's end of line, you can get it from Amazon for half price. So keep an eye out.
For the bigger boobies?
Yeah, I bought 2, so I bought 1 and I had to take it back because it was defective. Looked on Amazon, exact same bra, half the price. Bought 2, and it's so much better because you know the sides that dig in here, you know the straps.
Yeah.
They've put on some foam at the top so that it protects. That's honestly comfiest ever.
I mean, the wire shouldn't be digging in anyway. If it is digging in, you're wearing the completely wrong size.
No, but you know, like when... Well, no, because mine comes out to, like, here. Where it should do. There.
Yeah, see, mine's quite short. And it stops there. Yeah. But really, it should probably
but you know, like, when it rests on your rib. And sometimes when you sat down a lot, it just digs in.
Yeah, it's like when you've got bad posture and you just flump.
Yeah, but, like I do like this. In my computer, like I'm like, but yeah.
Oh my god! Right, have you heard of Doki Doki?
Doki Doki.
Doki Doki Literature Club. It's a game. It's like an anime visual novel game.
No, is that what you posted on Snapchat earlier?
It took a very dark turn, and I was a bit like, "Wow, I did not see that one coming."
Wow.
You know.
Shocked.
You know it. It left me hanging, to be fair.
Oof.
For the people that know. But oh my god! But I've decided that I'm fully in love with Monica, the president of the literature club.
I was gonna say I have no idea who you're about.
So at the end of the game, it's like you stay in this like room with one of the like
Spoiler alerts.
Spoiler alert if you haven't played it. At the ending, you end up in a room with one of the girls, like, and you basically just have a bit of dialogue.
Right, yeah.
But it's non-sexual. It's all very romantic.
Okay.
And at that point, I hated this one, right? Because you end up with only one anyway.
Right, yeah.
Just because of the way the story pans out.
Mm-hmm.
But you end up with the one girl, and her name's Monica. And I hated her at the start because she genuinely, I was a bit like, I don't get good vibes from you. I'm not. No, you just go, I don't really like you, but there's no reason to dislike someone. And then obviously the story got on, and I was like, Monica, just Monica, okay, just Monica, let's go. Here we go, just Monica. And you end up being in a room for however long you want to be in there for.
Right.
And she's like, I love you. I'm like, Monica, same. Simp for Monica. Just Monica.
Just Monica.
I feel a bit bad for all the others, though.
Oh.
But what can you do? What can you do?
What can you do? There's nothing you can
What
do.
can you do? I would recommend playing it, though. It's a very good game. I spent 9 hours on it.
Is it on stream?
Last night.
Steam?
It's on stream. It's free on Steam.
Oh, nice. I'll have a look.
It's such a cute game, though. Like, it's actually, like, so cute. It's insane.
Hold on, the weeb is
Like,
coming out.
I was...
Give it time. Give it time.
Like, it's just so cute. It's adorable. Wholesome vibes.
Oh yeah, how's the altar for Lilith going? Or is it not happening?
So far, it's not going well. But I have a space for her. And that's... I just need to get around to figuring out what she wants on it, what to be putting on it, how to set it up, and yeah. Because the one thing that concerned me the most was, where am I going to put an altar for her? Because I did a pendulum reading, and I was like, do you want your own altar? And she was like, yes. And I was like, is
yes,
this because
bitch.
you're my matron? And she was like, yeah, I'd be with you forever. Like, give me a fucking... It's like, you gave me an altar before, give me a fucking altar. And I was like, okay, I'm so sorry. So I cleared the space for her, because the thing is, she's got a offerings jar on there. Because I did have like an altar for her when I first started up. I had like a chalice, a goblet sort of thing on there. I had her offerings jar. I had a photo, like just a printed out photo of her. Specific candles. Odd like little, not trinkets, but things on decoration wise. This is Lilith, but I refuse to burn it.
As per, yep.
Because it's part of the also like, I'm not burning this one. This one's more for decoration.
Yeah. That reminds me, I need to make Anubis's candle again.
See, I just buy Lilith's red candles, and I hope that she's just happy with that. I haven't actually asked her if she's happy. But I feel like it's okay. I used to buy her red scented candles. Scented candles. With apple and cinnamon in it. You know, like the Christmas ones?
Yeah, the spiced apple.
Like the spiced apple with like cinnamon. And... yeah, I used to get those, and they used to burn so quick. Like, I've never seen a 30-hour candle burn the time that it did.
Damn.
So I was like, obviously she likes those ones.
Yeah.
So I need to get those again. But I bought a Yankee Candle one, but it's not for her.
Right, okay.
I just really like that smell. But I'm starting to get back into my spiritual side.
I've started.
Finally.
Well. Yeah, I've started.
It feels good.
It's exhausting.
Feels good.
It's exhausting going back into it.
Yes, it is.
Especially because
I do a lot.
I've opened back up, and it's opening back up, and it's like, shit.
The thing is, when it comes to my shadow work, I don't learn lessons. I have to unlearn things, and I think that's what drains me the most, is the fact that it's not just a lesson learned. It's not only do I have a lesson learning, but it's also unlearning, and it's like, it's not just a lesson that I need to unlearn, it's the trauma I need to unlearn. That's...
yeah, because you have to unteach yourself the, what's the word? The written...
toxic and negative.
Yeah, like your
things.
response to it, like your normal thought pattern. You have to change it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, that's recently what I say recently. During lockdown, it was, the weight thing. And it was very much, that's why now it is just a number. And if anybody says you need to go on a diet, I just say I do not want your unsolicited comments. Fuck you.
Good for you. Good for you. See,
it's tough.
I've come more comfortable.
It's fucking tough, though.
I bet it is. It's taken me this long to be comfortable with my body, and I'm 24, 25, and I was feeling insecure since I was 12. So I've trying to be, I've been trying to work on my body image for years.
Yeah.
And
20s is fucking rough, I swear.
It's rough.
I cannot wait to say death to 20s.
Are we doing that party for you?
Shall we do that party? Shall we?
The death to the 20s.
Yes, definitely. Oh,
because I'm doing that.
That's what I was gonna say. Sorry, it just twigged into my mind. You know that little table that I've got, the little I used to do my spell work that my neighbour made for me. He said to me that if anybody wants one, it's £15 for him to make one. So let me know and I'll put in an order for you.
If you've got photos of your desk at your little top, if you have, put them in the Discord because some people might also be interested.
Yeah.
If you've got photos.
I want to say if they'll get more popular, it might go up, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
It won't be that much though. Another there are some in Airy Fairy, or like he's making some for Airy Fairy in Sheffield, and he's selling them to her for 50 quid. I think he said. Fuck.
Wow.
So she'll be wanting to make a bit of money off that, so it'll be like 80 quid ish, probably. And they're only small, but I'll see if I can try and find them. If not, I'll take some pictures. I mean, I've got one with a cat sat on it. But yeah, he'll be able to draw on whatever you want. No.
Would we like to read some stories?
Yeah, can do.
Would you like me to go first? Because you went first last week.
Yeah, can do. I mean, I'll just finish off my...
Yeah, and you can finish eating. Right, I will need your opinion on which ones to read then. There are a lot in here. Do we want to go with the Mermaids, Selkies, and Sirens section?
Hell yeah. Sorry.
Yeah?
Yeah, can do.
Okay, so we've got Seductress or Saviour, the Timeless Love of the Mermaid, or we've got the Little Mermaid as well, which we did read last week. Or we've got the Call of the Siren, or Selkie Folk, the Shape-Shifting Seals of the North Sea.
Selkies!
From Mermaid to Alright, from Mermaid to Serpent Queen. Okay, alright, the Selkie Folk, the Shape-Shifting. Okay, let's go.
Someone's put Seductress, we'll do Seductress.
Seductress, alright.
Yes.
Seductress or Saviour. Okay, here we go. Let's see what we've got here. 13. Alright, Seductress or Saviour, the Timeless Law of the Mermaid. I think it is a pretty short story. It is very short, so I guess if you're still eating, I'll read the second one.
I've finished now. I've taken them.
Okay, right, so tales of mermaids had frequent folklore, children's literature, and popular culture in recent times. The origins of these long-haired, fish-tailed, half-human beauties, however, stretch back surprisingly far into history. As Assyrian myth from 1000 BCE tells of Atargatis, a beautiful fertility goddess. I probably butchered the name.
How? Okay. How do you spell it?
I think it's Atargatis. Atargatis. One of the many tellings of her story describes how she fell in love with a handsome young man, but tragedy was not far behind. Some say she was unable to keep up with her love-making, whilst other versions of the tale say that it was the birth of her human child that caused her great shame. Whatever the cause, the outcome was the same. Argatis killed her lover, and unable to stand the guilt, she threw herself into the sea. Her desire was not to become fish in penance for her terrible actions, but it was not to be. Her beauty meant that the transformation could only be half complete. So I'm going to try and find this story online, because this is telling me more about it.
Rather than the actual story. What's up? What the fuck? What's going off? Just see your screen going woo woo.
Fucking hell. Sorry, it's Monica.
Oh, right, oh.
It's Monica. Oh, she scared me. For the people that like Doki Doki, no.
I mean, if you want.
Let's have a look. Let's have a look. It's over the show, but I don't want. I want a folk story. Okay. Oh. You're all fictional. I want folklore. I'll finish reading off anyway. She killed her lover. Here we go. Her beauty meant that the transformation could only be half complete, and the grieving goddess found herself in her old human head and body, but below the waist, with a fish of a tail. From then onwards, mermaids have become a staple of popular culture and belief, spreading throughout the world in numerous forms and incarnations. Some mermaids were said to have shown kindness towards humans. The mermaid encountered by an old man in the Curry, Cornwall, rewarded his lack of greed by granting him many mysterious powers and bequeathing a magic comb that was passed down through the generations of his family. More often than not, however, mermaids receive bad press and their relationships with humans are reported as decidedly negative. For instance, the Brazilian Ira or Yara is known for tempting sailors down to her palace under the waves for a watery end. Christopher Columbus famously recorded a sighting during his voyage in 1493, declaring that mermaids he had witnessed as not half as beautiful as they are painted. The scathing assessment might be explained scientifically. It has since been thought that what he'd actually seen were manatees, sea cows, or dugongs. Perhaps the best known and most well-loved mermaid is Hans Christian Andersen's The Little Mermaid, a story inspired by the earlier mermaid folk tales, in which the famous storyteller used fairy tale tropes to conjure a magical narrative beloved by many today. Written in 1836 and published the following year, Andersen's Mermaid had been represented in dozens of incarnations and variations over almost 2 centuries since she first appeared on the printed page. Often reimagined and retold for modern audiences, the tale is one of many now at the centre of debates about gender, sexuality, and feminism in folk tales and literary fairy tales. The mermaid is commemorated today by a statue that rests in Denmark, in Copenhagen, fashioned out of bronze. She is the copy of the original design by Edward Ericsson, and erected in 1913. Interesting.
I was going to say, I'm now trying to find it, but there's very little on the actual story. I'm wondering I'm wondering if a lot of it got
washed out.
Yeah. I mean, I can read this one, or I can send you it.
Yeah.
Apparently she was goddess of moon, feminine powers and water. She was worshipped 4,000 to 3,000 years ago. Stories of how she became a mermaid is quite sad. According to myth, Atargus fell in love with a mortal shepherd called Hadad. They had a daughter called Serimatis, and Serimatis later became the queen. She is most well known for creating the famous hanging gardens of Babylonia. She accidentally caused the death of Hadad, and she could not live with her guilt, so she drowned herself in a lake near Ascalon. Waters, however, could not hide her beauty. Then she transformed into a mermaid with the tail of a fish. And apparently, it's one of the first mermaid stories ever to be told. That's it.
Interesting. I've got a very short little note here.
Go on then.
To summon a Selkie lover.
Oh.
Many folk have yearned to meet a Selkie lover over the years, and when the secret method of calling one to you was uncovered, it was passed down from generation to generation as prized knowledge. As it is now passed on to you here. First, you should wait until the perfect time to meet your lover. This, of course, being high tide. When the time has come, you must go quickly to the ocean waves. Once you have reached the shore, you should shed 7 tears into the sea, no more, and no fewer. At this, a potential Selkie lover will appear in front of you in the waves, but be warned. Sadness follows many who take a Selkie as their life partner, as most will always yearn for the waves until their days are done.
Okay. So
now you know how to summon a Selkie lover.
Now I know how to summon. So this one goes into a little bit more depth. It's not that much. So it says that she was beautiful and powerful priestess who fell in love with a human shepherd boy. He, simply being mortal, did not survive her divine lovemaking and died. She became pregnant with his baby and soon became distraught and remorseful. After the birth, she threw herself into the ocean. Her beauty was so great that the gods did not let her die, but instead changed into a mermaid.
Interesting.
And not only did she become a mermaid, she became goddess of the sea, half woman, half fish. She is depicted with long flowing hair. She is the first mermaid. Oh, apparently she
Christian Andersen.
You got it out now. Okay.
Well, I've got the Little Mermaid, but I'm sure I read that last week, did I not?
Was it the Little Mermaid? Or was it Rumpelstiltskin?
No, it was Rumpelstiltskin, Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Little Mermaid. I can read that. But it's up to you.
I mean, I can do one and then you can do the Little Mermaid when you find it.
I've got it up now, so it's up to you. You can read it now.
No, do it now. It's fine.
Are you sure? The question is, do the viewers want
That's true.
The Little Mermaid?
Or I've got another story from.
We've got so many folk. Yeah, I've got so many fairy tales. I've got the first complete edition of the Grimm's Brothers fairy tales. I also have Hans Christian Andersen. If we're feeling a little bit more bleak, I have The Bloody Chamber and Other Stories by Angela Carter.
So there's another 11 stories to read.
Oh god.
They're all sort of short, so it's not that bad.
Yeah. Thumbelina, The Little Mermaid. I don't think anyone's answering.
No one's answering.
I think it's just Yorkshire. That's fine. Do we just want to go with The Little Mermaid then?
Yeah, can do.
Okay. Or we've got the Snow Queen, or something else.
Another story. Auntie Linzi first.
Your first, Auntie Linzi.
Where are we? Oh yeah.
So what's the story today, Lindsay?
We did Nanny Howie last week.
We did.
We have Annie Pearson of Ghostland. or Mary Bateman or the Yorkshire Witch?
Mary Bateman.
Mary Bateman. Okay, Mary Bateman, the Yorkshire Witch. The witches of Scarborough and Rydale are numerous, but on the whole not quite so colourful as those to the north, with the exceptions of Sabrina Moss, who had a boxing match with the devil and, being knocked senseless, fell into a slurry pit. Most were strictly professional witches. In 1634, 4 women from West Anton were tried for making it upon themselves to tell one Barbara Temple by witchcraft, charms or sorceries were stolen clothes were to be found. Doesn't read right, but okay. Mary Nares of Pickering, Peggy Dewell and Nan Scaife, both from Hutton L. Hole, were all professional fortune tellers, though at least Nanny Scaife made a bit of an effort. Her magic cubes, or dice, were constructed from the ground skulls of hanged men, bollock's blood and crab's eyes. In Scarborough, wise men and women acted most like family doctors, checking symptoms, writing out prescriptions, a sign of the zodiac, a verse from the Solomon's proverb, a few dried, bleached leaves was an accepted cure for the evil eye. So it is most with relief that we turn to Mary Bateman. Mary was born just outside of Thirsk, and from her earliest youth showed signs of a future full of promise. From the moment she could walk, Mary began to steal. She became so notorious that while still in her teens, she moved to Leeds to get a job, for no one closer could even consider employing her. In Leeds, Mary set up as a dressmaker and a soothsayer, and soon attracted clientele of credulous people, whom she robbed and destroyed heartlessly. On one occasion, she convinced a woman with a large young family that her husband should enlist in the army. Soon afterwards, he was killed in the Napoleon. That war. So she was left penniless, committing suicide after her children died for want of medicines. But it was her treatment of William and Rebecca Perigo which led to her lasting fame. Rebecca Perigo had an irrational fear of the evil eye and sought Mary's help. Bateman, realizing there was money to be had, soon made the couple bankrupt. She made them sell their furniture to obtain charms from Mrs. Bythe, a powerful but imaginary wise woman from Scarborough. She had them... I don't know what's happening. She had them give their entire life savings in gold sovereigns, which she wrapped in paper and sewed to Mrs. Perigo's clothes. A simple conjuring trick allowed Mary to swap the coins for lead discs. Once the Perigos were penniless, Mary had no more use for them. But since they kept coming to beg for her help and bothering her, she decided to get rid of them completely. In the April of 1807, she showed them a letter which Mrs. Bythe had sent, along with 7 packets of powder and a jar of honey. Mrs. Bythe's instructions were for the couple to lock themselves in their house for a week and to take the powder she had provided, 1 each day. If they happened to feel sick, this was a sign that their enemy had been found and they had found out what they were doing, and they should each eat half the honey she had thoughtfully provided as a counterattack. The Perigods did the day as they were instructed, and for 6 days encountered no problems. On the 7th day, however, the powder which they ate contained a highly poisonous substance, moronic chloride. Both were exceedingly ill and opened the jar of honey. This contained another deadly poison, arsenic. Mr. Perigo could not bear to eat more than a drop of honey. But his wife, terrified of the supernatural forces which she felt were bearing upon her now, swallowed the lot, and died 6 days later in dreadful agony. Mr. Perigo was never suspected of foul play, though his lips had turned black from eating the honey, until a few months later he decided to get rid of his wife's clothes. He cut out the gold sovereigns which Mary had sewed into the items, and was amazed to find lead discs. Suspicions were raised, and he contacted the magistrates. Then, with constables concealed, arranged to meet with Mary once more. She was arrested, and in her bag was a bottle of poison which she intended to use on Mr. Perigo to silence him forever. Mary was tried for murder, found guilty, and condemned to die. Even while waiting for her appointment with the gallows, she continued her cruel criminal career, selling forged pardons to other condemned criminals. Bateman was hanged at York on the 20th of March 1809, and so infamous was she that the hanged man and her body, pickled, took it on a tour around the north of England. Thousands of people turned up, paying to see the corpse. Finally, when her body began to disintegrate, her skin was peeled off, curled, and strips of it were sold as charms against evil. And that's it for Mary Bateman.
Oh my god.
I know.
Oh my god.
I know.
What? Okay, yeah, that was
started off all right, and then it went, whoa. Yeah. Okay.
Christ. Most, folklore stories don't end well. Have you noticed that most folklore stories just don't end well?
No. Of course it does.
Which is so bizarre. It's like, is there any story that ends well?
No.
No.
Apart from Disney films, I don't know.
Disney. It's because they've altered the original ones.
Exactly.
Alright, we have fairy tales from Hans Christian Andersen. Or we do have...
Are you not going to do a Little Mermaid?
We can do the Little Mermaid.
Yeah, let's do the Little Mermaid.
Does the viewers want to hear the Little Mermaid's original story?
Oh yeah, that's true. You might want to give them some options, man.
Well, in Hans Christian Andersen we've got a lot of options. So we have the Tinderbox, the Little Claus and Big Claus, the Princess and the Pea, Thumbelina, the Travelling Companion, the Little Mermaid, the Wild Swans, the Flying Trunk, the Nightingale, the Sweethearts, the Ugly Duckling, the Snow Queen, the Fir Tree, the Red Shoes, the Shadow, the Old House, the Little Match Girl, the Story of a Mother.
Never heard of that.
I'm afraid to hear the Little Mermaid now. I would love to say that it's a bit of a lighter ending.
It is,
Can't say
yeah.
It's going to be
a good ending.
Light.
Yeah. It's not a happily ever after one, but it's not that bad. From what I remember.
It's not as bad, yeah. Under the sea. I can't swim.
That's funny. I think from what I remember of The Little Mermaid, I don't know if I actually heard the Hans Christian Andersen one, but...
Yeah. We going with The Little Mermaid then, I'm assuming?
Might as well. What are you doing?
Okay.
Sorry. My cat. Get off.
Oh. Okay, what page? Page 67, here we go.
I thought you were going to say 69 then.
Oh, would you look at that? The bookmark was in fact on The Little Mermaid.
So you did save it then. Get off! Stop licking the plate.
This is a slightly longer one, so this might be the last one.
Okay.
But it's slightly longer, so I'm glad that you did your reading first. But I will try and get through it as quick as I can, at a pace that everyone can still understand.
I was going to say don't rush, because
Okay.
I don't have to get up early tomorrow.
Oh, you don't? Neither
No.
do I. Okay. I'll probably be up until 5 a.m. again. Correction, probably 10 a.m., but here we are. Anyway, so, The Little Mermaid by Hans Christian Andersen. Far out at sea, the water is as blue as the petals of the loveliest cornflower and as clear as the purest glass, but it's very deep, deeper than any anchor line can reach. Scores of church towers would have to be set up on top of each other to reach the bottom up to the surface of the water. Down there lived the sea folk. Now, you mustn't think that there's nothing but a bare white sandy bottom. No. There's the most wondrous trees and plants growing there, with such subtle stems and leaves. At the slightest ripple in the water, they move as if they were alive. All the fish, big and small, flit through the branches like the birds up here in the sky. At the very deepest spot stands the Sea King's castle. The walls are made of coral, and the tall arched windows are of the clearest amber, but the roof is made of seashells that open and close with the flow of the water. How lovely it looks, because in each one of them lie dazzling pearls, any one of which would be a great jewel in the crown of a queen. For many years the Sea King had been a widower, though his old mother kept house for him. She was a wise woman, but proud of her noble birth, and that's why she had 12 oysters on her tail. The other nobles were only allowed to wear 6. Otherwise she deserved high praise, especially because she was fond of the little sea princess, her granddaughters. All 6 were lovely children, but the youngest was the most beautiful of all. Her skin was as clear and soft as a rose petal, her eyes as blue as the deepest sea. Yet, like the others, she had no feet. Her body ended in a fishtail. All day long they would play in the castle, in the great halls, where the living flowers grew out of the walls. When the big amber windows were opened, fish swam in, but just like the swallows, just like the swallows fly into us when we open our windows. The fish swam right up to the little princesses, ate out of their hands, and let them be petted. Outside the castle there was a great garden with fiery red and dark blue trees. The fruit gleamed like gold, and the blossoms like a blazing fire, and they constantly fluttered their stalks and leaves. The ground itself was one of the finest sand, but blue like flaming sulphur. A wondrous blue glow hovered over everything down there. You might also think that you were high up in the air and could see nothing but sky both above and below, rather than being at the bottom of the ocean. In calm seas you could catch sight of the sun. It looked like a crimson flower from whose chalice all light streamed. Each of the little princesses had their own small plot in the garden where she could dig and plant as she liked. One of them gave her flower bed the shape of a whale. Another thought it better if hers looked like a little mermaid. But the youngest made hers perfectly round, like the sun, and planted only flowers that shone just as red. She was an odd child, quiet and pensive, while the other sisters adorned their gardens with the most wondrous things they had gathered from sunken ships. The only thing she wanted, other than the scarlet flowers that looked like the sun above, was a beautiful marble statue. It was a lovely boy carved from clear, white stone which had come to the sea floor with a shipwreck. Next to the statue she planted a crimson weeping willow that grew so gloriously, draping its fresh boughs over the statue and down to the blue sandy bottom, casting a violet shadow that was in constant movement, like the boughs. It looked as if the treetop and the roots were pretending to kiss. She had no greater joy than to hear about the human world up above. Her old grandmother had to tell her everything she knew about the ships and cities, humans and animals. She thought it especially strange and lovely that up on earth the flowers had a fragrance, while those on the seafloor did not. And the forests were green, and the fish that could be seen among the branches could sing so loudly and beautifully that it was sheer delight. It was the little birds that their grandmother called fish, because otherwise they wouldn't understand her, since they had never seen a bird. "When each of you turns 15," said their grandmother, "you'll be allowed to go up to the surface of the sea, sit in the moonlight on the rocks, and look at the great ships sailing past. You'll see forests and cities." In the coming year, one of the sisters would turn 15, but the others, well, each was a year younger than the other, and the youngest of them still had a full 5 years before she could venture up from the bottom of the sea to find out what it looked like in our world. But each promised to tell the next what she had seen and what she'd found to be the most lovely on her first day. Their grandmother hadn't told them enough, and there was so much they wanted to know. None of them was as full of yearning as the youngest sister, the one who had the longest to wait and was so quiet and pensive. Many a night she would stand at the open window and gaze up through the dark blue water where the fish were flapping their fins and tails. She could see the moon and stars. Even though their glow was quite pale, through the water they looked much bigger than they do to our eyes. If a black cloud seemed to pass beneath them, she knew it was either a whale swimming above her or a ship full of people. It probably never occurred to them that a lovely little mermaid was standing below, stretching her white hands up towards the keel. The oldest princess turned 15 and could venture up to the surface of the sea. When she returned, she had hundreds of things to tell them. She said that loveliest of all was lying in the moonlight on a sandbar in the calm sea and looking at the great city close to the shore where the lights sparkled like hundreds of stars, listening to the music and the noise and commotion of the coaches and people, seeing all the church towers and spires and hearing the bells ring. The very fact that she couldn't go there made her yearn for it all the more. Oh, how the youngest sister listened! And later that evening, as she stood at the open window and gazed up through the dark blue water, she thought about the great city with all its noise and commotion, and then she imagined she could hear the sound of church bells reaching down to her. The following year, the second sister was allowed to rise up through the water and swim wherever she liked. She reached the surface just as the sun went down, and that was the sight she found the loveliest of all. The whole sky looked like gold, she said, and the clouds, well, their loveliness couldn't possibly be described. Red and violet, they had sailed above her. But even faster, like a long white veil, flew a flock of wild swans over the water in front of the sun. She swam toward it, but it sank, and the rosy glow was extinguished by the surface of the sea and the clouds. The next year the third sister went up. She was the most daring of them all. That's why she swam along a wide river that flowed into the sea. She saw lovely green hills with grapevines, castles, and manor houses that peeked out from the magnificent forest. She heard all the birds singing, and the sunshine was so hot that she often had to dive underwater to cool her burning face. In a little bay she came upon a whole flock of tiny human children. Quite naked, they ran around and splashed in the water. She wanted to play with them, but they ran off in fright, and a little black animal appeared. It was a dog, but she had never seen a dog before. It barked at her so fiercely that she was frightened and retreated to the open sea.
I thought there's a super interesting little area to explore over there.
But she would never forget the magnificent forests, the green hills, and the enchanting children who would swim in the water even though they had no fishtail. The fourth sister was not as daring. She stayed out in the wild sea and claimed that it was the loveliest place of all. We could see for miles around. The sky overhead was just like a great glass bell. She saw ships, but far away. They looked like black-backed seagulls. The amusing dolphins had turned somersaults, and the enormous whales had sprayed water out their nostrils so it looked like hundreds of fountains all around. Then it was the fifth sister's turn. Her birthday was in the winter, and that's why she saw what the others had not seen on their first time. The sea had turned quite green, and all around floated great icebergs. She said each of them looked like it was a pearl, yet much bigger than the church towers that humans had built. They appeared in the most wondrous of shapes and glittered like diamonds. She sat down on one of the largest, and all the sailing ships tacked in terror around the place where she sat, as she let the wind blow through her long hair. But toward evening the sky was covered with clouds. Lightning flashed and thunder roared, while the black sea lifted the icebergs high in the air, making them gleam with red lightning. On all the ships they took in the sails, while fear and horror reigned. But she sat calmly on her drifting iceberg and watched the blue lightning bolts zigzag down to strike the gleaming sea. The first time one of the sisters went up to the surface, she was always delighted by everything new and beautiful that she saw. But now that they were grown and allowed to go wherever they liked, it no longer interested them. They longed for home, and after a month's time they would say that down below was the most beautiful place of all, and that's where they felt most comfortable. Many an evening the 5 sisters would link arms in a row and rise up to the surface of the water. They had lovely voices, more beautiful than any humans. Whether a storm was raging and they thought ships might be wrecked, they would swim before the ships and sing wondrously about how beautiful it was at the bottom of the sea, telling the sailors not to be afraid to go there. But the men couldn't understand their words. They thought it was the storm, and they never had a chance to see all the loveliness below. Sorry, there's a lot of activity in the household today. They thought it was the storm, and they never had a chance to see the loveliness below, because when the ship sank they would drown and only come as dead men to the Sea King's castle. In the evening, when the sisters would rise up arm in arm through the sea, her little sister would be left behind, all alone, to gaze after them. She felt as if she could cry, but a mermaid has no tears, and so she suffers even more. "Oh, if only I were 15," she said. "I'm sure that I will come to love the world above and the human beings who live there." Finally, she turned 15. "Well, now we'll have you off our hands," said her grandmother, the old Dowager Queen. "Come here and let me dress you up like your sisters." She put a wreath of white lilies on her hair, but every flower petal was half a pearl, and the old woman made 8 big oysters clamp onto the tail of the princess to show her high birth. "Ow, how that hurts," said the little mermaid. "Yes, but we have to suffer a little for our finery," said the old woman. Oh, how gladly she would have shaken off all of that splendour and removed the heavy wreath. The red flowers in her garden suited her much better, but she didn't dare change things now. "Farewell," she said, and rose as easily and brightly as a bubble through the water. The sun had just gone down as she raised her head out of the sea, but all the clouds were still glittering like roses and gold. In the midst of a pale pink sky gleaming the evening star, so lovely and clear. The air was mild and fresh, and the sea perfectly still. She saw a big ship with 3 masts. Only a single sail was raised, because not a gust of wind was blowing, and the sailors sat in the rigging and on the yards. There was music and song, and as the evening grew darker, hundreds of coloured lanterns were lit. They looked like the flags of every nation fluttering in the air. The little mermaid swam right up to the cabin window, and each time the waves lifted her head in the air, she could see through the mirror-like panes at all the elegantly dressed people. Yet the most handsome of all was the young prince with his big dark eyes. He was probably no more than 16. It was his birthday, and at that reason for all the splendour. The sailors danced on deck, and when the young prince stepped outside, more than 100 rockets shot up into the sky. They lit up like bright daylight, so the little mermaid grew quite frightened and dove down under water, but she soon poked her head up again. And then all the stars in the sky seemed to be falling towards her. Never had she seen such fiery magic. Huge suns spun around, magnificent firefish swung in the blue sky, and everything was reflected in clear, calm sea. On board the ship itself, everything was so bright that you could see even the smallest line, not to mention all the people. Oh, how handsome the young prince was! He shook his hands with all the men, laughing and smiling, as the music resounded through the lovely night. It grew late, but the little mermaid couldn't tear her eyes away from the ship or the lovely prince. The coloured lanterns were put out, and the rockets no longer rose up into the sky, nor were there any more cannons. But deep down in the sea, there was a droning and rumbling. And all the while she sat in the water, bobbing up and down, so that she could look into the cabin. But the ship began picking up speed, one sail after the other catching the wind, and the swells grew stronger. Huge clouds gathered, lightning flashed in the distance. Oh, a terrible storm was coming. That's why the sailors were reefing the sails. The big ship pitched at a racing speed on the wild sea. The water rose up like black mountains that threatened to pour over the mast, but the ship dove like a swan, down between the high waves, letting itself be lifted up again on the towering swells. The Little Mermaid thought the pace amusing, but the sailors did not. The ship creaked and crashed. The thick planks burst at the powerful thrusts the sea made at the ship. The mast snapped in half as if it were a reed, and the ship lurched onto its side as water rushed into the hold. Now the Little Mermaid saw that they were in danger. Even she had to watch out for debris and beams from the ship that were drifting around in the water. For an instant it was so pitch black that she couldn't see a thing. But when lightning flashed, it was once again so bright that she could make out everyone on board. Each person was managing as best as he could. She looked in particular for the young prince, and when the ship broke apart she saw him sinking down into the deep sea. She was at once filled with great joy, because now he would be coming down to her. But then she remembered that humans could not live in the water, and he wouldn't come down to her father's castle except as a dead man. No, he mustn't die. So she swam among the timbers and planks floating in the sea, completely forgetting that they could have crushed her. She dove deeper under water and then rose up, high among the waves, and at last reached the young prince, who couldn't swim much longer in the raging sea. His arms and legs had become so tired, his beautiful eyes had closed. He would have died if the Little Mermaid hadn't come. You enjoying yourself there, Lindsay? Comfy. God. Oh god, there is so much to this. Oh my god. I think we will call it a part 2.
A part 2 of Little Mermaid?
Because I still have like 15 pages. So
Jesus! I was gonna say, like, we've only just got onto the,
onto meeting the prince.
Onto meeting the prince. Oh. Yes, I had to get comfortable then. I had to...
Also, you might, That's the entire story. It doesn't look a lot, but it is very small font.
Right, yeah. I was gonna say you were really close. I was like, that must be really tiny. Right?
So what I will do, I will finish off this paragraph to the bottom of the page and to the end of that bit there, and then we'll call it, because that'll only take 2 minutes. Continuing. His arms and legs had begun to tire. She held his head above the water and let waves carry her with him, wherever they liked. By morning the storm had passed. There was not a scrap of the ship in sight. The sun, red and glowing, rose up out of the water and seemed to bring life to the cheeks of the prince, but his eyes remained closed. The mermaid kissed his beautiful, high forehead and stroked back his wet hair. She thought he looked like the marble statue down in her little garden. She kissed him again and wished that he might live. Now she saw before her dry land. Now she saw before her dry land the tall blue mountains. On the crest glinted white snow as if swans were rested there. Down near the shore stood lovely green forests, and in front of them the church, or a closeteer. She wasn't quite sure, but it was some kind of building. Lemon and orange trees grew in the garden, and before the gate stood tall palm trees. Here the sea formed a little bay that was perfectly still but still very deep, all the way up to the dunes, where the fine white sand and washed ashore. That's where she swam with the handsome prince and placed him on the sand, taking great care that his head lay high up in the warm sunshine. And I'm going to leave that there. We're not there just yet. We aren't there just yet. It's a long story. I definitely forgot how long that story is. You're on mute, babes. You're on mute.
There we go.
Take care, Green GG.
Take care, Green GG.
I'm enjoying reading the stories though.
It's nice, isn't it? I think.
Has it made you a little bit sleepy?
It actually has, yeah. I even had a coffee.
Am I that good of a storyteller?
Yeah. I think.
Oh, stop.
I think once when I've read this one, I'm gonna try and search the internet for a story.
I think I'm just gonna try and go with shorter stories.
Yeah.
Because The Little Mermaid is fucking long.
Yeah, I was gonna say this one's filled with 13 short stories.
The only short stories I have are murder ones.
Yeah. But I might have a look at like other witches in England.
Go for it. Let's do it.
After we've done this one.
After we've done this one.
After we've done that one.
Maybe I'll start a podcast reading bedtime stories.
Maybe.
Maybe I'll get paid for doing something that requires little effort.
That's true. Yeah. Ooh. You and me both.
Okay, let's call it.
Call it a night now.
Call it if you want to. I don't mind. We could chat for a little bit.
Yeah, if you want. And then we'll
Like
start
I
off
said,
with
we haven't
this,
chat all week.
and then we'll finish off The Little Mermaid Part 2 next week.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we need to. We need to stop story. I was like, it's very long. Let's pause it here. It's a very good story though.
It
I
is a
forgot
very
how
good
much
story.
detail was in it.
I was going to say, I don't think I ever heard that beginning bit. Whenever I was told
really?
it. Yeah, whenever I was told it was always when
Hmm.
the ship was on fire and he went down into the sea. When she meets Prince. That's the only time when I've actually been told about it. So, but yeah.
It's an ending that not a lot of people know.
Sorry.
No one counts.
Oh. I think we're going to have to keep a live
But,
long count. Oops.
I mean, everybody knows the ending if you know the original fairy tale, at least. You know the ending of The Little Mermaid, but a lot of people don't realise the actual ending.
Yeah.
So everyone knows that her sister's cut off her hair to save her. But she ends up becoming a spirit of the wind.
Yeah, she turns into sea foam, doesn't she? And is carried away with the wind, yeah. Like her body, her physical body's in sea foam or something like that.
Well, there's a few more details in this story about mermaids and their life. So it's like the fact that mermaids don't have a soul because they live for hundreds of years.
Oh, right. It is quite contagious.
Hey, we have bedtime stories on call, like, excuse me.
Oh, dear. My eyes are actually watering. I'm yawning that much. For some reason...
You know what? I went on a calculator. Go on.
For some reason, my camera looks like 1K and I don't know why. Is that it?
I did a calculator yesterday just because I'm starting to get really sick of seeing couples on my TikTok page doing like really cute shit, and I'm like, so I decided to calculate how long it's been since I've been single. It has been 428 days.
So it's just over a year.
Yeah.
I mean...
Not that I'm sad about it.
Oh, that was just what I was about to ask you.
Because I don't have a responsibility of another person.
Yeah.
but also it gets lonely. But I'm also so busy all the time, so it's like, would I like to go home to somebody else after spending so many hours with other people?
Yeah.
And also, I think it's all too unavailable.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Like, especially if you're in that dating stage. You know, like if you are with someone and you're still in that like new honeymoon sort of stage where you want to do something all the time, and
yeah,
it does get a bit exhausting. Whereas now, like us two, because it's been now 10 years. 10 years.
Congratulations.
Fucking hell.
A big anniversary.
I know. It's not even married. That's just together.
That's just together.
That's just together.
When is the wedding?
Mate, I'm just gonna sign a piece of paper. There was not gonna be an actual wedding.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say, because you won't be going to a wedding for me. I won't be getting one.
No. Although I do want to get a dress though. But yeah. Now we just choose sort of days where we're chilling. Like, or at least when he finishes early. I say early, like at 5. And where I'm off.
So basically, you're just eloping.
Technically, yeah.
Because that's what it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
An elope. You just get married without anyone there.
Yeah.
My parents did that.
I mean,
it's been 24 years. They're still together.
For my parents, it's been 24 years. Yes, I was a bastard child.
I was also a bastard child. 24 years this year. They're still in the 23rd year.
Yeah, my parents are 24 this year, and then they're 25 next.
I was 1.5 when they got married.
Oh.
My brother was just about 6 months, I think. I'm not too sure.
How old was I? I think I'd just turned 3. 3 or 4, can't remember.
It's not a big deal anymore. If you've got kids together, you've got kids together.
Yeah. Oh, that's his point. Going through like family tree and stuff. So interesting. But it's sort of not annoying, but it's really difficult when they are like illegitimate children. Especially once when you go into 1700s where it's not actual certificates. It's like parish and baptism.
Yeah.
Where it's not actually fully recorded.
Yeah.
And it'll just say like illegitimate child of so you'll never actually know who the father is or their mother or whatever, and it's just like, whoa. But then you've got to think, is it because he died or they died, or is it because they never actually got married? So many questions left unanswered. But yeah.
So what time are you in work tomorrow then?
You what?
What time are you working tomorrow?
It's Easter. I'm not working.
Are you on your break?
Yeah.
And you didn't think to tell me you started your Easter holidays?
I told you last week I was starting my Easter holidays. I break up on the 1st.
Do you actually want to hang out?
Tomorrow?
You'll do something. Nah, Thursday.
Oh, I can't Thursday. I mean, I'm actually at work on Thursday. So because it's coming up to the GCSE exams, especially for chemistry, like the first one's in May. I'm doing revision sessions during the day. On Thursdays. I finish it. I think the college shuts at 6, so I'm there till 6. I think Tom, and also Tom finishes work at 6, so I'll have to go and pick him up. I can do any day apart from Thursday.
I can't.
Oh, sorry.
Well, I could do Friday, but thing is, I've got my nails done getting it done at 3 o'clock, so
Right. Yeah.
Unless you want to be up at like 9 a.m. on Friday.
Does it look like I get up at 9 a.m.?
Do I look like I'm up at 9 a.m.?
Is it the same next week then as well? Thursday? Or...
Babes, I'm back at work on Monday. I've had 2 weeks off. I'm on annual leave.
Oh. When's the restaurant? When is it shut? I'm sure there's one day where it's
When's
shut.
what shut? Tuesdays.
Tuesdays. I can do a Tuesday.
You can do Tuesday?
Yeah, I can do
Right,
it. I can do
Tuesday.
I can do it next Tuesday. Yeah.
Right, let's actually put it in the diaries. Good night, Yorkshire Pure Evil.
Good night. See ya. 12th. Yeah.
Tuesday the 12th. Yeah. What do you want to do?
Don't know. I can go to Meadowhall if you want, or we can go to wherever. Don't mind. It's whatever's easiest for you.
Fine. Well, it's always me going to you. It's never you coming to me.
I come to you
When's the last time you came to me?
on your birthday.
Right, and how many times have I come to you?
None.
Bullshit!
Oh no, Meadowhall. We went to Meadowhall twice, didn't we? I forgot about that. What the
Times
fuck?
before that.
What is my brain?
I always go to see you in Sheffield.
Don't always. I've been to you
Once.
twice.
First time we were going to Whitby together, that doesn't count.
What do you mean it doesn't count? I
Doesn't count.
came to pick your ass up. It counts. I could have
Yeah,
said,
for a
no
weekend
bitch.
away.
I said, no bitch, get your ass to Sheffield.
It was actually going to be quicker to get to Whitby from mine anyway.
Exactly.
So you would have had to have passed me on the way. So that doesn't count.
From Sheffield, no. I would have had to
I know,
divert it. Would have had to
Would
divert.
you?
Yeah, only slightly.
Yeah, I suppose so.
It's because it's
Fine.
hills, so it's not an actual like direct route.
So we need to plan a day out.
Out. What, like night out?
Next Tuesday.
Or day out?
God, no. Like day out.
I'm gonna say.
Like,
My
let's go away out.
my out is going downtown out.
Don't.
If you want to do in day, you're better off saying day out.
Well, I'm in Manchester all of the weekend, so.
Oh, this weekend. Okay.
But it's my competition, isn't it?
Oh yes. In fact,
That's this weekend.
I just had a thought. Do you want to go to Leeds instead?
On Tuesday?
Yeah. If you want.
Yeah, let's go Leeds.
Because then I can just catch
That, or we could go in Manchester. It's pretty much the same distance.
It is, isn't it? I think so.
Yeah. It's the same distance, same time on the train. 20 minutes, 25 minutes.
I don't know what it's like for Sheffield. Hang on.
I was going to say, to get to Manchester from Huddersfield, it's only like 30 minutes.
Let's go Manchester. Not Manchester Airport. Manchester. From Sheffield by train. It's 1.5 hours by train.
For you?
Mm-hmm.
Woo!
So look by car. It's an hour. Whereas Leeds, I know there's a direct train. I think that's only... never mind, that's also an hour. What the fuck?
Same distance.
Yeah.
It's because you're going from Sheffield, but for me, Leeds is only like 20
Oh,
to
yeah,
30
yeah.
minutes on the train.
Of course, yeah.
So it's more convenient for me to go to those places than anyone else. So and everyone's always like, why are you always in Manchester? Why are you always in Leeds? I'm like, A, because it's only like £10 for a ticket, like a return ticket. Probably even less, right?
I was going to say for me...
And it's half an hour on the train.
For me, it's just one train. For an hour, that's not that long. I think some trains actually go for like 45 minutes. So I don't mind. I've been to Leeds before on train. It's not that bad. That's the point.
I don't think there's that much in Leeds to do. I don't know if I'm just looking at the wrong part of Leeds, but I get really bored in Leeds.
just trying to think, because I'm trying to remember the last time I went to, like, Leeds Trinity and stuff. Like, the shopping and stuff.
I think it's rubbish. I think shopping there is absolutely rubbish.
Honestly, I've not actually been to Manchester that long to shop or look at places.
Well, did you want to do some shopping in Manchester on Tuesday then?
Can do.
There's loads of places in Manchester. We've even got the Trafford Centre, so if we wanted to go, we can go relatively, not early in the morning, but earlier on in the day.
I've been to, yeah.
Because the train's back, it's going to be every so often.
Yeah.
Up until late anyway.
I best ask the boy when he's... Do you know what you're working on Tuesday? Next Tuesday?
What?
Do you know what you're working next Tuesday?
No.
No? Can you check for me later?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Right, he doesn't know what he's working, but he'll check.
Personally, I think you should just go on public transport or get a taxi or something. Just for one day.
We'll see.
Well,
he won't get a taxi though. He won't. No, he won't. He would rather catch a bus.
Oh.
I don't know what it is.
See, I can get a train for 24. I can get a train for 20 minutes to Leeds. That's the quickest time, but they were all averaging 25 to 30 minutes. But if I went to Manchester, all ranging about 40 minutes, so there's only an extra 10 minutes. It's only 40 minutes on the train to Manchester, it's only 10 minutes.
12th. Neither.
But it's up to you.
Wonder
No,
what it was then. All of them's got to change. There's no direct.
See, mine are all direct.
Although it's only £11.20 for a single, so that's not bad. Oh, that's why I've typed in Manchester Airport rather than actual Manchester. Manchester Piccadilly. Yeah?
Yep.
There we go. It's £10.80 for a return. There you go. And it's direct. I was thinking then, I was like, what the fuck? Why is that? Damn, so it's like £5 more to get to Manchester Airport. That's ridiculous.
It's an extra train.
Yeah, it's true, but damn. Yeah, that's not bad. Ow. Ow.
Good.
Yeah, I'm picking my skin, sorry. Right. Shall we pop off then?
I think we should call it at 22 minutes past 22.
Hey, that's a nice number, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Right.
All right. We did that exactly the same time.
Ooh, ooh. We are the sorry.
We are the cheeky girls. Well, I'm not a girl. Thank you.
We are the cheeky
Don't gender
people.
me.
We are the cheeky people.
We are the cheeky nerds. We are the cheeky nerds.
Right, okay.
You are the boring boys. You are...
I love that. we should start with that next week. Ew. Okay. Right. We'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Adios. Bye.